3 a.m. prayer, the shocking miracles unlocked by gratitude that you won't believe. It was a night like no other. Darkness smothered the town, thick and heavy, yet deep in the heart of it all lay a secret that would rattle even the most rational minds. As the clock struck 3, whispers echoed in the dim light of flickering candles, and the air thickened with anticipation. Emma had always been skeptical about the whole 3 a.m. prayer ritual. Yet, desperation clawed at her throat, making every breath feel like a challenge. She had to try something. She'd lost everything: her job, her faith, her family. All that was left was a tattered piece of paper with sparse words of guidance and the promise of miracles. With each passing second, the silence was almost deafening. But then, a chilly gust of wind danced through the room, extinguishing the flames of her candles. The shadows itsy-bitsied around her, silhouettes of long-gone memories. Emma's heart raced. Could it be true? She had heard rumors of miraculous events triggered by just a simple act of gratitude. Stories about lost loved ones returning, fortunes found, and even enemies turned friends. It was said that at 3 a.m., the thin veil between worlds was lifted, revealing the unknown. Suddenly, her cell phone buzzed a text from her estranged sister, Sarah. "I need to talk. Can we meet?" Emma's breath hitched. Was this the moment she had prayed for? Or a dark twist of fate waiting to unfold? Just then, a loud thud broke the stillness. Her heart raced. The sound came from the back of her house. Was someone there? Was it a voice or merely her imagination? She could hear her pulse in her ears, a throbbing drum announcing danger. Now, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With the weight of uncertainty hanging over her, Emma inhaled deeply, her fingers trembling as she reached for the door leading to the dark hallway. Should she investigate? The questions echoed louder than her anxious thoughts. What if it was Sarah, or was it something even more sinister? Clenching the paper in her hand, she recalled the words, "Gratitude unlocks the miracle waiting behind your fear." Heart pounding, she stepped forward, the floor creaking beneath her. What would she find waiting in the shadows? Would it be a cherished reunion, or the ghost of her past she had tried to escape? The hallway stretched before her, an endless tunnel shrouded in mystery. And in that very moment, Emma felt it, the icy breath of something supernatural brushing against her neck. She wasn't alone. What could it be? Her heart thudded violently against her ribs as she took another tentative step into the hallway. The darkness enveloped her like an old blanket, heavy and unsettling. Each creak of the floorboard seemed magnified, echoing like a scream in the silence. Was it just the wind, or was something lurking in the shadows? Suddenly, the air shifted, and a soft whimper echoed from behind her. Emma's breath hitched. "Hello?" She called out, her voice trembling as it sliced through the suffocating gloom. There was no reply, only the whisper of her own doubt. A flicker of movement caught her eye near the staircase. She squinted, but all she could see was blackness. "This is ridiculous," she whispered to herself. Yet her feet didn't move. It could be Sarah, she reasoned, gripping the paper tightly, the words printed there feeling like a lifeline. With each breath, memories flooded back: Sarah's laughter, their shared dreams, the bitter fights that had driven them apart. Emma swallowed hard, guilt stabbing at her. Was this the moment that could bring them back together? But the sensation of being watched prickled her skin. She strained to listen, each sound crisp in the quiet. The thud from earlier pulled at her thoughts again, the rhythmic pounding sounding almost deliberate now, like a heartbeat. It was coming from the living room. Emma's heart raced faster. She needed to confront this. Hadn't she taken that first step into gratitude by even trying this prayer? And now her sister was reaching out in this strange way at the most haunting hour. Steeling herself, she ventured deeper into the hallway, each stride fueled by a mix of fear and determination. When she reached the living room, an unsettling stillness enveloped her like fog. Shadows danced along the walls, making shapes only darkness could conjure. The moonlight spilled through the window, illuminating the wood floor, revealing an array of items displaced and haphazardly thrown about, her childhood memories now strewn like the wreckage of broken dreams. And then, she saw an old photograph lying face up at her feet, its edges curled and worn. It was a picture of her and Sarah, smiles wide and carefree in the summer sun. Tears prickled in Emma's eyes. That was before everything changed. She reached down, her fingers brushing against the glossy surface, her heart wavering. Just as she was about to lift it, she heard a low growl from the shadows, chills crawled down her spine, and she whipped her head towards the sound. The growl got deeper, reverberating off the walls like a warning. "Who's there?" she shouted, the words escaping her lips in a frantic rush. A figure appeared on the periphery of the darkness. It was shifting, blurring the lines between reality and nightmare. Emma couldn't tell if she was imagining it, or if it was real, a swirling mass of shadow, breathing heavily, emanating an aura of dread. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the figure flickered, and she caught a glimpse of face half hidden in darkness. Her body went cold. It couldn't be. "Emma," a voice hissed, barely audible, yet piercing through the silence like a knife. Fear surged through her, and with it also came anger and desperation. "What do you want?" she cried out, but what she truly felt was a longing. It was a memory she hadn't been able to bury, an unhealed wound she wished she could revisit. But who was this apparition? And then, a single word echoed in the air, shattering everything. Gratitude. Emma's heart sank. What did it mean? Why now, and who was calling? Instinctively, she took a step back as the shadows shifted again, edging closer, twisting around and beckoning her deeper into the darkness. She had to make a choice. Was she willing to face the ghosts of her past in search of a miracle, or would she turn back to the safety of the known? As she stood teetering on the edge of that choice, the shadows beckoned her with a chilling lure. What awaited her in the depths of the night? Emma's breath came in shallow bursts as she fought the instinct to flee. The voice, her sister's voice, had drawn her into a realm of twisted familiarity and haunting uncertainty. How could Sarah be here, coalescing within shadows? The figure seemed to pulsate, almost alive, drawing Emma closer, as if it were a magnetic force she couldn't resist. Gratitude. The whisper sank deeper into her bones, wrapping around her thoughts like ivy. What was it trying to tell her? It felt like a riddle coated in fear and longing. She could hardly grasp what it wanted. Perhaps it was forgiveness? Or was it something darker? She bit her lip, tears spilling over as she steadied herself against the door frame. "Sarah, is that you?" Her voice trembled, splintered and high-pitched, barely echoing back to her ears. Silence hung thick in the air, and she felt a dark intensity drawing her forward, her feet moving almost on their own. Each step felt like wading deeper into a cold sea. The shadows swirled, pulling away to reveal fragments of her life, the chaotic afternoon spent building forts, whispers exchanged in darkness about dreams, the laughter that used to bounce off their walls. But just as quickly, the memories shifted into moments filled with sharp pain, arguments, accusations, separation, years spent in silence. "Don't you want to remember?" The shadows hissed again, as if sensing her turmoil. "Don't you owe it to yourself to truly understand?" A gust of wind rattled the window, sending a shiver down her spine. "What do I need to understand?" she demanded, her heart thundering fiercely in her chest. A low rumble spread through the room in response, blending with the growl she heard earlier, an unsettling cacophony that made the very air tremble. Suddenly, one of the swirling shadows shifted again, expanding outwards, revealing another figure, this one vibrant, glowing with light as if it was countering the darker mass. Emma squinted, a flicker of hope blossoming in her chest. "Sarah?" The light brightened, and for a fleeting moment, she recognized her sister's face, but it was twisted, layered with grief and regret. "Emma," the luminous figure said softly. "You can heal this, but first, you must learn to let go. Let go." The phrase hung in the air, resonating with an aching clarity. Letting go felt like a chasm opening beneath her. Could she really relinquish the pain, the anger that had once defined her relationship with Sarah? As the figures clashed in the living room, a powerful wind swirled around her, and Emma's heart caught in her throat. She shut her eyes tight, tears falling freely. The whispers grew louder, drowning her thoughts. Forgive. Accept. Move on. But with each word, she felt the weight of everything that had been lost pressing harder against her chest. When she opened her eyes, the dark figure was closer now, the shadows swirling around, fronting a malevolent grin, twisting her memories into grotesque shapes. Emma felt paralyzed. Could she trust this entity? Or was the figure merely a mirage, a trap set to ensnare her? As she grappled with her resolve, a sudden surge of warmth enveloped her like sunlight piercing through storm clouds. It surged from within, a glimmer of hope pushing against the darkness. "I must face you," she murmured, her voice steadier than her heart. "I won't run anymore." A sudden crack of thunder shook the room, and the shadow recoiled slightly as if pushed back. Was she gaining strength? With one final breath, Emma raised her hand, reaching for the dark figure, heart now racing wildly with purpose. Just as she was about to touch the shadows, a light burst illuminating everything around her, revealing secrets hidden in vast darkness, but as light flooded the room, she heard a piercing scream, a sound that sent chills down her spine. "No! You don't know what you're doing." What was lurking in that light? Who had been screaming? Uncertainty coiled around her like a noose, trapping her mid-motion. Emma stood frozen, pulse racing. She was on the precipice of discovery, but what awaited her beyond that light? The blinding light enveloped Emma, pushing back the darkness, but with it came a chaos of thoughts and emotions. The unbearable scream echoed in her ears, wrapping around her mind like a vice, squeezing until she felt breathless. She couldn't tell whether it came from Sarah or some entity lurking in the shadows. "What am I doing?" she whispered, the question heavier than the silence that followed. Everything dimmed, save for the intense brightness in front of her. Faced with the duality of the shadow and light, Emma hesitated, a storm brewing within her. Did she dare step forward into the illumination? What truths awaited her in the luster, and could she handle the secrets it revealed? Trust, the light seemed to urge, like an unspoken promise. But did she really know what that meant in this tangled web of family betrayal and connection? In this moment of indecision, the malevolent figure twisted and writhed in its dark corner of the room, now making strides toward her, its grin widening, teeth like daggers. As it moved closer, a sickly feeling unfurled inside her, a gut instinct warning her that it intended to choke her off from hope. "Emma!" the luminous figure cried, its voice ringing like bells, sweet yet tinged with an edge of despair. "You have to choose. Darkness will try to consume you. You must decide." Her chest tightened. She could feel the darkness pressing against her, heavy and suffocating. It crept nervously at her heels, whispering unrecognizable fears, igniting doubts that festered in her heart. "What if I can't let go?" she shouted into the silence, threatening to drown in her own voice. "What if I've held on to this pain too long?" "Letting go is the key," the bright figure answered, seemingly unfazed by her turmoil. "You are stronger than the shadows. Trust that love resides even in the darkness." The dark entity chuckled, the sound vile and stomach-churning. "Love? Look at her, clinging to the past like it's all she has. Nothing can heal a heart twisted by memories. All your sister's light gone. Forgotten." Emma clenched her fists, shaking her head wildly, rejecting the shadow's poison. "You're wrong. I can still remember. I want to let you twist them." Bolstered by a sudden burst of defiance, she took a fierce step toward the brightness, hands reaching out, pulse quickening with every inch closer. Yet, doubt still curled around her thoughts. Could she stand the truth? Would it shatter her? Emma. Sarah's voice begged from the light. You have to face everything, the love and loss, all of it. Only then can you truly heal. The darkness hissed, feeding on her fear. You'll be lost forever. This journey will tear you apart. No. She cried, her voice reverberating through the room like thunder. In a moment of clarity, Emma steadied her breath. If she had to go through the storm, so be it. She focused on the memories, the laughter, the joy that once filled their home. She stepped forward, conviction surging through her as she reached for the light, extending her trembling fingers. As she touched it, a wave of warmth swept over her, radiating love and forgiveness through every inch of her being. I'm ready, Emma whispered, feeling the shadows recoil, shriveling away from the brilliance. But then the scream intensified, morphing into a cacophony of anguished voices. No. You'll never escape. The room began to swirl, the shadows clawing at her, desperate to cling onto her. Emma felt like she was teetering on an edge, the pull from the light growing stronger while the darkness threatened to drag her back. Even as the echoes loomed, her heart pounded with purpose. Maybe she wasn't just facing her fears, maybe she was forging a path to understand who she really was. Just then, as the shadows lunged forward, Emma saw a flicker of something in the light, an image, an undoubted clarity she had missed before. A vision of Sarah, smiling, reaching out too. Emma, don't look back. The room felt like it was going to explode, two worlds colliding. Emma could either succumb to fear or seize this miracle, but with shadows closing in, would she find the strength to embrace the truth within that light, or would the darkness pull her away forever? Emma's heart raced as she stood on the brink, caught in that moment between light and shadow. The warmth radiating from the brightness felt like a heartbeat, vibrant and alive. It called out to her, a beacon of both comfort and challenge. The millions of voices shrieked in unison, drowning out reason, but the truth lay just beyond, hidden in the brilliance that sparkled before her like stars born from fury. Step forward. Sarah's voice boomed, fierce and determined, cutting through the chaos. Trust in what you've known, the love we shared. It will guide you. Emma's fingertips grazed the boundary of the light. A jolt surged through her, electrifying her senses, igniting a fire in her soul. She drew in a breath, as deep as the weight of all she had lost. The vision of Sarah conjured memories, tiny moments bursting with laughter, sunlight filtering through the trees, the smell of her sister's favorite cookies wafting from the oven. All of it filled her with a desperate longing. Embrace it. Make that choice. The brilliant figure urged, as the dark entity shrieked in fury, its voice like nails scraping against a chalkboard. It lunged toward her, shadowy claws grasping at her ankles, dragging at her resolve. Don't let it win. Sarah's light flickered, shimmering in the face of encroaching darkness. With a surge of spirit, Emma cried, "No, I want to be consumed." She surged forward, heart pounding defiantly. As she crossed the threshold, the golden light enveloped her entirely, swallowing her fears and doubts. For an instant, the world stood still. The cacophony of screams quieted to an echo, replaced by a profound silence. But that moment of peace shattered like glass. The light trembled as the dark entity screeched, "You think you can escape? You don't know the truth. You are tied to your pain." The force within the light shook violently. Shadows danced around her, swirling like a tornado, clawing at her with haunting whispers that wrapped around her mind like tendrils. "Emma. Remember." Sarah's voice blazed through the maelstrom, pulling at her sanity, guiding her back to the brightest memories, the laughter, the joyful moments. You can withstand it. Let the love within you shine brighter than your fears. Emma closed her eyes, summoning every cherished memory, every laugh shared, and every tear wiped away. With each recollection, the shadows recoiled, hissing like a wounded animal. It intensified with each pulse of warmth threading through her the undeniable strength of love. Let go, Emma whispered, surprising herself with her own resolve, let the pain be transformed. In that moment, she felt a crack deep within her heart, not from the darkness but a cleansing burst of liberation. Bound for so long, the pain could not be an anchor. It had to be a stepping stone. The shadows shrieked, thrashing helplessly as if struck by lightning, their hold loosening. Could this truly be her chance? Hold on, Emma. A chorus of voices rang out. Sarah, their parents, friends long forgotten. Love poured from the light like honey, sweet and warm, wrapping around her like a protective shield, but just as the darkness began to fragment, a bewildering vision struck her. A flicker of doubt crashed through the haze, revealing everything she had feared. Was her sister truly gone? Could she really trust this light? The chaos swelled again, louder than ever, and Emma found herself drawn into a whirlwind. With clarity, she realized that the shadows spoke only half-truths. They aimed to twist her reality, but right now, a new choice loomed ahead. As Emma steeled herself against the overwhelming pressure, the light pulsed with greater intensity, whispering promise and hope. Step into the truth, Emma. Only then can you find your sister. The darkness shrieked in defiance, and as Emma stood amid the tumult, she braced for the plunge into unknown depths. What hidden secrets would she uncover as she surrendered to the light, and could she truly confront the ultimate truth her sister had left behind? The moment she surrendered, the light surged around Emma like a tidal wave, sweeping her into a realm where shadows and color danced in a spectral haze. The heat of the sun forgave her when she stumbled, its warmth wrapping around her in a comforting embrace. But the furious screams of the dark entity clawed at her eardrums, mingling with a sound she couldn't quite recognize, a low, ominous rumble that felt all too familiar. Emma, it was Sarah's voice, ethereal and far away, weaving through the vibrations that pulsed like a heartbeat. You've begun a journey full of revelations. But tread lightly, sister, the truth can be more perilous than the darkness. With each step deeper into the light, Emma felt the shadows coil back, but only temporarily. They writhed, whispering deceitful promises, as if trying to unearth the deepest fears buried within her. You are alone, they hissed, a chorus of despair. She left you, just as everyone else will. You will always be the one left behind. No. Emma shouted, her voice ringing like a bell through the chaos. Just then, a burst of warmth surged within her, a flicker of light ignited by her defiance. I am not alone. I am loved. The surrounding brightness pulsed in response to her affirmation, a golden glow expanding like a blooming flower. Each beat of warmth wrapped around her, and in the center of that luminous orb, Emma felt her doubts start to wither. Yet, the grip of shadows still threatened, pulling her back, tempting her to doubt once more. In the shivering twilight of her consciousness, visions began to unfurl before Emma's eyes. They flickered like a movie reel, scenes of a life she never wished to relive. Moments of laughter around a dinner table. A birthday party where Sarah had surprised her with a puppy. Stolen glances over long cups of coffee. Yet, beneath the joy, a deeper narrative unfolded. Fragments of their shared history began to merge with the shadows. Every memory is a thread. Sarah's voice broke through the din again, more insistent this time. Knit them together to uncover the truth. Panic threatened to choke her. But what if the truth is ugly? The thought started like fireflies, alluring yet frightening. Truth is beauty, Emma. It's the only way forward. In that moment, a figure flickered in the brilliance. A man with sorrowful eyes stepped into the frame, holding a familiar old photo. The color drained from Emma's face as she recognized him, her father. The same man who had seemed so distant after losing Sarah. The shadows twisted in delight, their whispers growing louder. See? Even he turns away from you. You are the echo of his pain. No. Emma cried, shaking her head as if it would dispel the horror threatening to swallow her whole. You're wrong. But her father's silent grief weighed heavily upon her heart. Just as the darkness clawed for her resolve, memories of his gentle hand on her shoulder surged forth, his encouragement echoing like a heartbeat in the hollow spaces of her past. Emma took a deep, trembling breath, then reached for the light within her. "You will not define me," she shouted, gathering fragments of her heart, stitching them together into a shield of love, warmth, and remembrance. In that cohesive moment, she felt a surge of empathy, a radiating light that traveled through her and into the figure. For a split second, she could see not only his sorrow but also his love. The shadows recoiled in horror, screeching as if burned by fire. With the instinct of desperation, she plunged forward into the depths of that light, ready to shatter the barriers of fear and embrace whatever truth awaited her. Each heartbeat roared in her ears, pulsating with the magnitude of her acceptance, but as she crossed into that glowing world, a sudden, jarring realization hit her. A chilling truth enveloped her mind. If the darkness can sow doubt, what dark truth about Sarah might I uncover? As the light intensified, threatening to blind her, Emma braced herself against the unthinkable, wondering whether the truth she might find would be one she could bear. Would it shatter her? Or could it free her? The pulse of imminent revelation drew near, and the question hung in the air: would she dare to face it when the moment arrived? In that blinding light, Emma felt herself wrenched from her body, as if she were being pulled apart and put back together again. The warmth transformed into a heavy weight, and she gasped, struggling to breathe. Was she dying? The thought sparked fear within her, a chill spreading through her core, but no, she was still here, caught in between the realms of memory and reality. The light flickered and began to dim, casting eerie shadows that clawed once more at the edges of her consciousness. "Face it, Emma," Sarah's voice pierced through the fading glow. "You must uncover what lies beneath." Suddenly, the remnants of past moments swirled around her. Caught in the chaos, she spotted a door materializing from the shadows. It stood tall, ancient, and grotesque, with dark wood splintering at the edges. The handle was cold, intimidating. Emma's heart pounded. It felt as if the door throbbed with a heartbeat of its own, resonating with the depths of her fear. "Do I really want to open this?" The thought clung to her. But even in her uncertainty, something inside screamed for knowledge. The shadows enveloped her, taunting her fears. What if Sarah's truth is uglier than you can bear? Taking a deep breath, Emma reached out for the cold handle, hesitating as it sent jolts of ice down her spine. Affirmations from earlier surged within her: she was loved, she was not alone. Gathering her courage, she twisted the handle, and the door creaked open, revealing a swirling abyss of darkness that beckoned her to step forward. "Step in, Emma," the whispers twisted into a more sinister tone. "It's safer here. Isn't it easier to hide?" "No." She gasped, shaking her head at the voices that tangled around her ankles like tendrils of a creeping vine. They hissed again in protest, but she pushed through, stumbling into the inky void. The air thickened, stinging her lungs, and she coughed as she fought against the oppressive darkness. In this emptiness, something snapped. A stunning, piercing light burst forth from a corner, blossoming, illuminating the space with intricate shapes and colors that danced in the shadows. There stood a mirror, reflecting not only her image but also ghostly images of Sarah. Emma's heart raced as she drew closer, catching glimpses of a life woven into her sister's existence, moments filled with laughter, joy, but also flickers of pain. "See?" Emma whispered, her throat tightening. "This was my life too. What did I miss?" Through the glass, Sarah's ghostly figure twirled, a fear-filled expression crossing her face. "Emma, you must understand. I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me from what?" Emma's voice rose, desperation wrapping around her like a vice. "What did you hold back?" The mirror rippled and warped, scrambling the reflection of Sarah, revealing snippets of dark secrets, forbidden choices hidden like skeletons in a crowded closet. Each fragment twisted Emma's heart, feeding into her fear of betrayal and abandonment. She could feel the shadows behind her pulling, enticing her to abandon this search. "Don't look away. You must see." Sarah's desperate voice grabbed her attention. "You'll find the answer if you push through." Emma's breath quickened, her heart raced like a wild animal trapped in a cage. The simple, radiant truth of love began to dim beneath overwhelming layers of confusion. Gripping her sides, she shouted, "What happened to you, Sarah? I can't do this alone." In that moment, the mirror shimmered violently, and with a pulse, a figure emerged distorted yet recognizable. A wild pounding filled the air. It was a memory, but not just any memory, it was the last night they spent together. Suddenly, she could feel Sarah's anguish emanating from that memory, thick and palpable, freezing time. Emma stepped back, surprised, when she understood this was a moment she had purged from her own mind, buried too deep. The memories crawled around her like live wires, crackling with questions and fear. As she struggled to process the revelation, the shadows hummed excitedly, hungry for her distress. "I want to let fear define me," she yelled. Into the darkness, trembling but refusing to yield. "I refuse to live under this weight." Yet the shadows pushed back, a tide of whispers rushing to drown her, drowning out the memory of love with a cacophony of sorrow and guilt. Just as Emma felt herself fading, she caught sight of Sarah's face, eyes filled with the power of purpose, and then, the screams turned into anguished silence, leaving Emma hanging on the edge of certainty. What lay beyond that memory? Could facing it change everything, or would it plunge her further into despair? As the darkness swirled around her, a single question hung in the air, heavy and unforgiving: could she bear the truth? The darkness folded in around Emma, crushing her under its weight. Fear clawed at her throat, but a flicker of determination ignited within her. She wasn't ready to drown in that sorrow, not without a fight. "Show me, Sarah," she breathed, voice breaking yet resolute. "I want to see, whatever you held back." The mirror trembled in response, the images swirling chaotically before stabilizing. A scene fractured into view, jagged and raw. Emma felt herself pulled into it as if the very fabric of reality shifted. There she was, younger and carefree, laughing with Sarah in their backyard, a sunlight-drenched afternoon where nothing seemed out of place. But the laughter faded like echoes, morphing into a darker day hidden in the folds of her memory, creeping up with shadows cloaked in deep blue hues. "Don't do it, Sarah." Emma's voice broke through the muffled noise of their shared past. She could see herself warning her sister, a sense of urgency anchoring her to that moment. But the clarity was gone, replaced by a thick fog of anxiety. But did she really understand? Did she ever ask the questions she should have? Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted again. A penetrating scream, chilling enough to freeze blood in her veins, rang out, wrenching Emma's heart. It was Sarah's voice. Emma's chest tightened, morphing into a heavy ball of ice as panic surged through her. "Go back. Please." Sarah's spirit flickered before her, desperation glimmering in her eyes, but the darkness surged forward, pushing through the fragility of memory. "I can't," Emma gasped. The weight of all her doubts pulled at her limbs, rendered her immobile. "What if this breaks us? What if there's nothing left?" Those once happy memories began to bleed into one another, twisting into darker shapes filled with anguish and regret. Echoes of secrets and half-spoken truths wove a web around Emma, binding her to the childlike innocence of her past, while whispering of the gloom that lurked beneath. "My fault. Emma, it's all my fault." Sarah's voice pierced through the disarray, now filled with a raw anguish that struck Emma like a blow. "No!" Emma cried, hands reaching out, desperate to pull her sister back from the precipice she'd so willingly thrown herself over. The mirror hummed with energy, and the scenes warped again, revealing a confrontation unraveling as two figures clashed. Emma watched in horror as Sarah stood, trembling yet defiant, against another figure cloaked in darkness. A man, confidence radiating from him, whose presence twisted the air around them. "Don't listen to him. He'll destroy everything." Sarah shouted into the void that seemed to consume her. What was on the line that night? Emma wondered aloud, grappling with shadows twisting closer, threatening to consume her once more. Just as she leaned in, drawn to discover the truth. The figure of the man leaned toward Sarah, an intimate hand reaching for her shoulder. An icy wave of recognition tumbled through Emma. This was not just any stranger, this was someone from their past, someone they both knew well. "Stop!" Emma pled, fury igniting inside her. "You're lying." But the scene played on, and as Emma struggled with the questions flooding her mind, she felt a familiar warmth at her side, Sarah's presence, flickering like a candle about to go out. "You have to see this. It's our chance." With one final breath, Emma charged toward the flickering scene as if plunging into water. Everything exploded in a rush of color and light, chaotic energy swirling around her until she was back in the distorted world of the abyss. The shadows surged audibly, a cacophony demanding her surrender, but she stood firm. "No more hiding. I want the truth." The room trembled at her declaration, shaking so hard the mirror nearly shattered. The intense pressure bore down once more, and the reality dissolved into a new moment, shifting into focus. Sarah's eyes filled with an intensity Emma knew all too well. The urgency thickened the air around them. "We're running out of time. You have to remember why it matters." In that moment, Emma seemed to plummet into a cavern of memories connected to incomplete threads, the laughter, the tears, the heartache. "Why does it matter?" she echoed, feeling utterly lost in the sinkhole of uncertainty. Just as she began to grasp a corner of the truth, the door behind her slowly creaked open, spilling a slat of eerie light into the void. Emma hesitated, the magnetic pull behind her powerful, threatening to ensnare her once more. What waited if she stepped through? Would it shatter her resolve or rekindle a hope she thought was lost? As she teetered on the precipice, shadows twisted, screaming for her to choose, everything at stake now resting on the razor edge. Would she step through the door, embracing the unknown, under the looming weight of dark truths? Or would she face the whispers of betrayal, risking it all for the promise of connection? And was the truth worth the darkness that threatened to consume her? The answer hung perilously close. Emma stood at the crossroads of light and shadow, her heart racing as the door loomed behind her. Fear seeped through her like a thick fog, mingling with curiosity, igniting a war within. What lay on the other side? Was it freedom or another trap weaving deeper into the darkness? "Emma, we have to go." Sarah's whisper trembled, the urgency palpable. "Everything depends on this moment." Emma's gaze darted to the myriad scenes playing out around her. Each memory entangled with threads of longing and regret, wrapping tighter as the darkness edged closer, clawing at her resolve. The faces of loved ones danced just beyond her reach, each carrying burdens that crushed her heart. But what if, Emma faltered, the doubt clawing at her throat. What if she's lost forever? No. Sarah's voice shot like an arrow through the haze. "You can bring me back, Emma. You can fix this." With trembling hands, Emma stepped closer to the door, its light bathing her in warmth, a stark contrast to the freezing grasp of despair lurking in the shadows. The door creaked again, beckoning her with a siren call. Taking a deep breath, she reached for the handle, feeling its cool metal chill her skin. Memories flickered around her like dying fireflies. Laughter. Tears. Fights that once seemed trivial now widened the chasm of regret. Emma could almost hear the echoes, the hesitant comfort from Sarah that sometimes fell short. In that moment of uncertainty, she recalled the fervent prayers they had whispered together, seeking strength and understanding amid their sorrows. She desperately clung to those grains of hope, reaffirming her will. "Sarah!" she shouted, a sudden clarity breaking through the fog. "I want to let you go. I promise." As those words spilled from her lips, the shadows recoiled, their grip slackening. For a fleeting second, a clear image solidified in the air. Sarah's innocent face smiling back at her, untainted. Emma had to believe that they could reclaim that innocence. Taking one final breath, Emma flung open the door, light enveloping her whole. It was blinding, a surge of energy pushing her forward. Then suddenly, it was silent, eerily quiet, like the calm before the storm. Emma stood in a vast expanse where shadows writhed just beyond her vision, a stark contrast to the dull chaos she had emerged from. Standing alone, she scanned her surroundings, feeling as though she had stepped into a different world entirely. A path wound ahead, each step resonating underfoot like the heartbeat of the universe. "Where are you, Sarah?" she called out, her voice trembling, quaking with vulnerability. But a rustling behind her made her heart leap into her throat. A figure emerged from the mist, a face she both recognized and dreaded. The man from her vision, the one who had planted seeds of doubt in Sarah's heart. "I've been waiting for you," he said, a sinister smile curling his lips, oozing confidence like poison. Emma's pulse quickened, fear pulsing through her veins. How could he be here? What could he want? Uncertainty gripped her again, and every fiber of her being screamed to retreat, to flee from this diabolical presence. "Emma," he said smoothly, "are you ready to face the truth? Or will you cower in the shadows of your own past?" His words cut through her, threading doubt back into her heart. But she could not afford to falter, not now, not ever again. Taking a deep breath, Emma stood her ground. "I refuse to let you manipulate me like you did Sarah." But as she locked eyes with him, she felt the tendrils of darkness creeping in again, wrapping around her thoughts. That's when a whisper danced through the air, Sarah's voice, soft yet commanding. "Trust yourself and me." Heart pounding, Emma felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, pushing against the encroaching shadows. In that heartbeat, she realized that it wasn't just her fight, it was their fight. Together they could dismantle the darkness, pull at its threads, until it unraveled before them. The moment held an electric charge, the perfect precursor to a storm, both terrifying and exhilarating. Emma squared her shoulders, ready to challenge whatever lay ahead, but could she truly withstand the truth that awaited her? What had Sarah hidden in the depths of her heart? The future of both their souls hung delicately in the balance, and the next move waited, breathless in the silence. Emma took a steadying breath, holding on to the warmth of her sister's spirit. The man stood before her, an embodiment of her fears, but now a palpable determination bubbled within her. "I know the truth resides in love, and I won't let you taint that," she declared, her voice echoing across the vastness. Each word felt like a barrier against the darkness wrapping around her mind. His smile faltered slightly, an imperceptible crack in his confident facade. "Love? Such a fragile thing. It can quickly turn cold when faced with reality." "Reality, yes," Emma shot back, her heart racing, "but it's the love we shared that defines us." Just like that realization, sparkles of light flickered around her. No longer alone, she felt Sarah's presence beside her, a beacon casting shadows aside. "Do not underestimate the power of love, especially under duress," Sarah's voice intertwined with Emma's, harmonizing into one. The man scoffed, crossing his arms as darkness swirled around. "You think battling shadows can change anything? Your sister chose her fate. You're only grasping at threads." But at that moment, Emma felt the ground beneath shift, a resolute force locking into place. "No. You're wrong. She didn't leave me or choose despair. She faced her struggles, and so will I." With each word, brightness surged through her, chasing away the shadows as if sunlight scattered mist on a cool morning. Suddenly, the shadowy figure lunged, attempting to engulf her in darkness. It latched onto doubt, squeezing at her fears like a vice. Emma felt panic creep in, as if her breath was being stolen, but Sarah's spirit wrapped around her like a cocoon. "You can break free. Remember our moments of joy?" Memories flooded her mind, shared laughter, stolen secrets, a pinky promise sealed under starlit skies. In her heart, Emma felt powerful and solid. Love swelled inside her, a fortress against the tempest. Love lies in forgiving, in accepting everything we've been through together. Emma proclaimed, her voice strong like thunder. "It's not just a story of loss, it's a tale of healing." The man snarled, shadows swirling furiously around him. You dare to challenge what's real? You'll only shatter under its weight. No, she said, eyes now blazing with determination. I won shatter I'll rise. At her declaration, the air quaked. A resurgence of light broke through her pure and radiant. The darkness trembled, the shadows wavering and fracturing under the force of Emma's conviction. She pressed forward, extending her hand, and at her fingertips, the light expanded outward into the void, the shadowy figure writhed, clawing at the light, but it was too late. The warmth enveloped him, stripping the darkness away like peeling paint. No! What are you doing? Reclaiming what belongs to me. Emma shouted, feeling the pull of shadows weaken as the love pulsed brighter, flooding every corner of her spirit. And in that shimmering radiance, Sarah appeared before her, no longer as a flickering spirit but vibrant and alive. Emma, her sister's voice sang with joy and relief, you did it, you brought me home. With the last vestiges of darkness disintegrating around them, Emma rushed forward, embracing her sister with a force that bound them together. I thought I lost you forever, she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks, mingling joy with sorrow. It was always about finding the way back, Sarah replied, tightening her grip. We have so much to heal, so many memories to mend. But together, we're stronger. As the lingering shadows faded into nothing, Emma felt the vastness of love pouring through her, all those moments shared and survived. She looked into the light surrounding them, sensing a potent energy of healing and hope. It's time to say goodbye to the past, Emma said, holding Sarah's gaze, but not to the love we carry. With a nod, Sarah smiled, the warmth in her eyes reflecting the radiant light between them. Let us take this forward. And as the last remnants of darkness slipped away, Emma knew their new beginning filled with an unwavering bond lay before them, full of the grace of second chances, brilliance echoing their laughter. They stepped back into the world beyond, sunlight streaming through an open door, illuminating their path. Hope surged like a river. These were the moments that would guide them, reminding Emma that together, they could unlock any miracle waiting behind their fears. Now, here's the moment you've been waiting for. Don't let this adventure end without you. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to fuel the algorithm and let everyone know about Emma and Sarah's amazing journey. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this mind-blowing conclusion. And don't just keep it to yourself, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heartwarming finale. You need your support to help grow this community, and every click counts. This is the moment to show your love.